Hello. So I'm David Woods. I'm a lead engineer working on Transpennine route upgrade. And I think John before said you couldn't see the future, but I think Clifford's been noted down as a principal engineer already. So well done to Clifford on his promotion. That's on the programme, by the way. Just a bit of thanks as well. There's lots of people, and even today I've noticed the number of people I've worked with on this programme and tried to get advice. So probably a way to mitigate loads of questions, but I'm also saying thank you for supporting the programme as we're progressing. Okay, let's see where we go next. So, initially I'm going to give you an overview of the Transpennine route upgrade, points of interest and focus. I'm just trying to give you a general overview. Also talk about Huddersfield to Dewsbury upcoming works that Cliff is going to go through, and then finally a bit of track installation, and then the trust safety training that we've got at Transpennine route upgrade. So firstly, we've got the route itself. We've working from Manchester, Victoria to York. There's various packages that have been built up across the programme. One of the key things at the moment is working from Victoria to Staley Bridge, where we're looking to electrify that route. And the other side of the Pennines, we're looking to electrify and get the line speed from 100 to 125 mile an hour between Church Fenton and York. Excuse me. We're electrifying the whole route, and in some areas we're looking to put some additional lines in. So that's what Cliff is going to talk around, where we're working between Huddersfield and Dewsbury later on. The improvements themselves, there's quite a large figure there on the funding. There was an announcement yesterday about 3.9 billion funding going forward on Transpennine route upgrade. And you can see some of the, as I've alluded to, electrifying the whole route, digital system from the signalling perspective. But one key thing I'd just like to even to enable these works to happen, we need to improve the diversion routes to facilitate trains moving whilst we renew the route across the Pennines. TAU benefits, we've got more trains, faster services, more reliable services, better stations, greener travel. On greener travel, we're looking to, a recent announcement is to look at 15 freight trains per day potentially going down the route in some areas. So we need to bear that in mind as part of the resilience of the asset. Faster journeys, I think we're looking to 10 to 12 minute savings on journeys. I was going to put something I don't profound and insightful in this section, but basically I think we're just trying to improve the railways through this section and also enable people to move around. And at the moment it is difficult, and I think we found it difficult this morning to get where we want to get to. And just finally on the overview, we're doing Transpennine route upgrade, but this is part and parcel of a wider programme of works, and that's noted in the integrated rail plan, and that interfaces with programmes such as Northern Powerhouse Rail. There's electrification between Wigan and Lostock that's particularly relevant to me because I get the train from Wigan into Manchester. So there's all these initiatives that are going on that kind of interface and also need to be integrated as well. Okay, the next one is points of interest and focus. I probably can't go into too much detail on everything, but I thought I'd just raise some key areas that might be of interest to others, and hopefully I'm oversharing on some of the items. I think we alluded to Huddersfield University before and the study of work they've been doing. As part of Transpennine route upgrade, initially we've looked at 7 locations across the route to move at a dip in the profile to get this higher speed. And we looked at exceptional design values. Now, that was exceptional design values in the old version of 2102 that's been recently worked upon, and now the higher design values or maximum. But to enable us to do that, we got Huddersfield University to undertake studies to make sure how passenger comfort was analysed as part of the process. And they further developed this, I think as it might have been Gareth or others noted before, they've got this, it's called Thomas, it's a passenger comfort simulator that you can go in and experience what you would experience across a railway, and then they can do this study about testing the limits of design from a passenger comfort perspective. But it's not just passenger comfort that was looked into as part of this work. When we were initially doing it, I think there was a challenge from the DFT to say, can you do more on the route? We spoke to the route engineers, and we also spoke to technical authority to get that guidance of what we were doing. We looked to agree on a site-by-site basis. We looked at the passenger comfort modelling, and one of the mitigations we put in place was managed track position. Additional drainage when was needed. We also modelled it in Track X to understand what the rail would be like and what we needed to put in from a rail perspective. A risk assessment, but towards the bottom there, that's showing an image of an area. We always did a kind of a cost benefit, but we also noted what the implications would be if we didn't use these higher design values. And by high design values, I'm going from the 110 to 150 cant efficiency. That was predominantly what we've used. We haven't gone for higher rates of change of deficiency on transitions, for example. But as you can see on the screen there, the pink line is where the track would be if we didn't apply these higher values. So it's fundamentally moving the track, and that wouldn't be affordable for the programme. And we've done this on a case-by-case basis on each site. We got that signed off. Most of these sites have signed at AIP. I think we had a change in standards. I think the route is reluctant to make sure we don't use this as a verbatim everywhere now. So we have had some, you've had your bit, you've taken the advantage of this. Please don't go using it everywhere all the time, because otherwise the whole route might be at higher design values. We've also, I think, system approach to electrification. Minimum viable product was noted before, and as part of these assessments, what we tried to do is find the best balance between electrification, civils, and track. The 2102 standard has been updated to have a 50 mil uplift allowance or track vertical allowance, and that's what we've used on these schemes to make sure maintenance have got a fighting chance of maintaining clearances here. We've saved 10 bridge reconstructions across the route, and OLE colleagues have done a lot of work on previous electrification processes to make this a viable option and make sure we're not over-engineering. But we did do whole life cost analysis in some of the analyses to make sure we'd taken that into consideration when it was quite a close call, if that was appropriate. Challenging standards. We did an evidence-based standards challenge on track monitoring. So this is helping, again, the electrification side of things. Some graphs on there that probably the likes of Colin are more familiar with than I am, but what it's showing there is basically people have gone back and done a review or surveyed the track. First of all, the tolerance between each point, and then 30 metres along the track over a 7-day period. We've gained a lot of information and basically showed that repetition was basically just survey tolerance. The track wasn't moving, and we put a case forward that we didn't have to, where there's these circular hollow steel piles, we don't need to go and do the 7-day monitoring after that. And there was a temporary variation pending standards change. I don't know if everyone knows that, but it might be useful for your project if you're doing that. A way to mitigate some of the work we've done, I've already alluded to, we've used managed track position, cost-effective electrification. It says exceptional designs there. I think all the designs across TRU are exceptional, bad pun, but where we're using those exceptional values, we're putting managed track position in place. We're maintaining clearances. There's an example there on the joys of window box clearances where we're putting managed track position in place. We've got a diagram there that kind of, we go to level 2 for quite a lot of areas across Transpennine. We've got platforms, these tight clearances. The image there from AIVR that has been shown in the hall before, that's of mile spatting curve, which we've gone for, we've renewed the track there, rebuilt the track, but we've used higher design values to get the highest speed through that section. And I advise anyone to try and get the AIVR login, really useful tool. Lots of people across the programme are using that. and if you can get the, I think it's the S&C inspection train footage as well, that's even better quality. Window box clearances. Has anyone enjoyed applying for a window box clearance recently? Nobody? So on Transpennine, we've got some really tight clearances. We've got tunnels. This was Morley Tunnel. I'm just flashing it. It's time. You need time to get variations through and to get that consensus. I've listed on the panels we went to. I've put NR panel, but we might have gone there numerous times. We've gone into RSSB panel. We went to subcommittees. I think everyone was really supportive of what we're doing, but it does take time to go through that process. And we eventually got that approval for Morley. But I was just speaking to John before, we need to put some more applications in. So that's going to take some more time. There's a challenge on scope, I think that was alluded to before. And across the programme, as well as renewals for moving the track, putting new tracks in, we've also had a requirement to make sure the track is resilient for a period of time. We've got a large tonnage increase that's going to be even more, up to 25 M to more on the areas where we've got the freight coming through. And the asset is up to 50 years old. There's lots of challenges from everyone saying, make sure your scope is appropriate. And what we did here, we got Leeds University to help support on looking at track quality through a section that we believed didn't feel it was spec'd up as renewal by the designers, but then we thought, is that really right? And what we got them to model with algorithms, what they predicted what would happen in that location. That supported renewal, that renewal being removed, but elsewhere, using this analysis, it's kind of supported that the renewal remains. So it's a tool just to, a bit like what we alluded to before with VTism, what is the best tool to make sure we're doing the most appropriate scope? I've also referenced Tarquin on there, which is a track ride quality investigation that was promoted by the LNW, Northwest and Central, old school there, Northwest and Central RAM team with Dave Brooks and Bizola Akona, who helped on one section of TRU use this asset-based analysis, enabled us to make some fundamental reductions in our scope, and people bought into that process. So again, it was back to getting those inputs from others and getting the scope right. And then recently, although it says a monthly carbon initiative, I think I've only done one of them, but with something I need to focus on is making sure with the likes of the technical authority, are we doing the right thing from a carbon perspective? Can we recycle materials better? So we're at least focusing in that area, and that's an area we need to look into. Last one for these anyway. Does anyone enjoy a good platform? So platforms, on the route we're working on here, on the route we've worked on before, we've got legacy vehicles. That then starts to erode the tolerances you've got from a civil installation perspective. And it can be really tight with the amount of installation tolerance we've got. And also, one key thing that I don't believe the TEF at the moment that we use for platforms aligns with the group standard requirements that we need to prove from a track perspective, that we've built the copers aligned with the reference track position, design position of the track. And that sheet there is basically showing the as-built X and Y's to a platform with the lift and sluice to go, and then when you apply those lift and sluice to go, it's compliant. If you find that you're compliant to the as-built, and then apply your lift and sluice to go, you might find you're non-compliant to your reference design position. Really needs a good local focus on, and we need to focus on that on TAU going forward. And I think that is that's enough for me for the time being. Clifford, thank you.
Thanks, Dave. So it's just I'm just going to go through a flyover video and explain what we're proposing to do as a project between Gledholt, Tunnelwell, Springwood Junction, and Dewsbury. If I can get it to work. Right, so we start coming in. So this is Springwood Junction. The renewals start on all lines through the tunnel. As you can imagine, challenges working, renewing the track and drainage through the tunnel. Just about squeeze the track in as we come into Huddersfield Station, where we're doing a complete remodeling of the station to include island platforms, and there's a bit of mining mitigation works underneath the track as well as part of the track bed treatment. Coming onto Huddersfield Viaduct, we strengthened the viaduct, replacing some of the spans, some of the spans on the viaduct itself, and then we reintroduce the forward tracking from here, basically increasing the line speed. Hill House sidings, we construct the sidings and the temporary turnback platform to ensure that Huddersfield is open during the construction and remodeling of the station. Coming through here, plain line renewals with a few S&Cs points that we're putting in here. Substantial amount of slowing in this area on the slow lines, using the fast lines, squeezing the track, all four tracks through the existing structures. In some cases, trying to save them as much as we can by reducing or lowering the track. We come to Deaton Station, where we reposition the station itself to allow for the fast lines to go around. Dave mentioned the issues about platform interface there. I'll talk a bit about that if I've got the time later. The A62, we're trying to squeeze the four track in here. We're replacing the deck, but we're maintaining the abutment. Window box issues with that one. Carry on with our plain line in through here until we get to Bradley Junction. Bradley Junction, carry on with the plain line renewals. Renew the whole junction, that's Bradley Junction. A new bridge there, Colin Bridge. And we come to Heaton Lodge. Heaton Lodge curve, where we basically, on the fast lines, you can see that the track basically goes away from the existing. We put in some new structures, including a new footpath there. We construct the Heaton Lodge footbridge, squeeze the slow lines, the Huddersfield, down Huddersfield through Cooper Bridge, with window box issues there as well. And basically, the track works and everything we're doing here changes the landscape through Heaton Lodge. We renew a couple of points here, a full renewal through this area, renewing the points end. Carrying on with our plain line renewals until we get to Mayfield Viaduct. Some strengthening works on the viaduct itself to allow for some of the temporary works that we're doing on the station itself. Now with Mayfield Station, we're cutting back the station and moving it sort of like a bit towards the east. It's a full renewal of the station, reconstruction of the station. We're getting rid of platform 3 to allow for the two fast lines to go there. So at the moment, platform 3 is just on the right-hand side there. Getting rid of that to allow the fast lines to go through. Carry on with our plain line renewals through here. Some of the areas we have deep digs, mining, we have to include mining mitigation as part of the renewal works here. So that means we're digging as much as, maybe in some areas, 650 mil below ballast. Carry on with our plain line renewals as we get through to Ravenstop, where we reconstruct the station and we introduce grade separation. So basically the fast lines going over and the slow lines going under. So you can imagine the challenges we have with that. And I think there's gas mains under the track as well, so we have to put slab track to protect that. We carry on with the full renewal through after Ravenstop, get onto Baker Viaduct, where we construct that completely offline and then reconnect it. As you can imagine, a lot of these works will be done offline just because it will be very difficult to get access to do these works. But it works out well by just building it offline. You can see the existing track on the left-hand side, and we connect this. After the viaduct, we then come down from 4-track to 2-track from this area. But we still have managed to increase the line speed from about 70 mile to 90 mile an hour. A lot of earthworks in this area, so concerns about the track itself settling over time. Considerable amount of sloughs from the existing position of the track. And that's the end of the video. Thank you very much.
Okay, just a bit more on track construction now, if that's okay. So as I alluded to before, the diversionary routes to facilitate the works in the first place is needed. And sometimes we need diversionary routes, hardening of other areas to facilitate those diversionary routes, but let's put that to one side. So you can see the core route there, and then the other lines around it, primary diversion and the supporting diversionary routes. This was one of the locations where we've done some work. I think it was this time last year. HCK Depot was being improved for access into the depot. A crossover was being put in, and also a scissors. To enable this works, as I kind of just alluded to, there was another siding location had to be developed to free up this space. And that was at Cobra Sidings. But let me just play this video and go from there. This works. So the scissors renewal here, I think we're looking to put in a sand blanket replacement. Was one of the key issues. The scissors, I think, probably spoke to the technical authority about this kind of configuration of a 10-foot that had been used previously at Oxford to Leamington Spa area. So we kind of utilised that design at this location as well. And a key risk here as well was working next to the retaining walls. Just a really quick video here that I think comes through with parallel temping, which was good to align with what we were showing before. Looking forward, I think I've alluded to looking at this section between Manchester Victoria and Staley Bridge with electrification and so forth. Miles platting curve. The line speed was increased there, and also we've done some works recently at Staley Bridge. Staley Bridge blockade, undertaken earlier this year, was remodelled to achieve 50 mile an hour through the actual junction. Lots of work, lots of panels. Just before we did the work, we kind of set up a working group just to get best practice from other people, other colleagues who've been working with utilising NR60 Mark II. It was probably just a sharing information, but it seemed to work. We've got over 100 S&C units up and coming, but that worked really well. We got the latest knowledge from people within the alliances to work to kind of inform what we were doing on the Transpennine route alliances. And recent lesson learning, I think even some of the learning that was shared at this seminar last year we picked on, and that got us in a good position and we were fully prepped before we did the work. And I think I'll just let this one run.
I'm Alison Davis and I'm the Project Director for W1 on TRU West. So the last 26 days at Staley Bridge, the team have been working incredibly hard. We started on the 11th of March and we've now finished on the 6th of April. So we have remodelled the whole of the west end of Staley Bridge Junction. We have done some platform alterations. We have put up overhead line structures ready for the electrification works further on in the future. And we've also renewed all the signalling and relocated that into the Manchester Route Control Centre. So part of the works of the station, we have realigned the platforms to allow faster trains through the station in the future, and we've also used the opportunity within the 26 days to put up overhead line equipment for the future electrification. There has been some challenges. We have now completed all the planned works, and it has been a really successful project. I would like to thank passengers for their support and understanding during these works. With the works now complete, the project is one step closer towards the future electrification of this route.
Okay. As part of those works, they had possession and blockade management system that was set up so people could understand where they're at real time. And there was some challenges on the works here, but this was kind of seen as best practice, understanding what was going on in the possession. I've talked about west of Leeds, some of the diversion routes, but as I alluded to before, on the east of Leeds Alliance, the section between Church Fenton and York, lots of good work going on there. The team has invested in the Gidor Trolley. They're utilising that as part of the works here. And this is a section where we're going to implement a line speed of 125 on the slow lines. Timescale, that's soon coming after the electrification on W1. Just a couple of things from a track installation perspective. On one side, we had some crack bearers that were spotted in the actual blockade. The team worked really well with SCO and got them replaced as part of that blockade, working with the S&C inspection team. West of Leeds reported faulty clips where they were hardened, the pandal clips, and we got that bulletin out. One thing to share, we've done really good renewals in some locations, and then unfortunately some S&T colleagues put the bonding too close to a weld. It should be 30 mil away, and that has led to a request for the switches to be replaced, which wasn't ideal. We're also using in-service train data across the programme. We're using OBB Rave, just a short extract there. This is in test. I think Balfour Beatty have got this in place, but we can basically get track recording data several times a day potentially from the 802s running down the route. Really useful when we can see what we've done on the section, an area where we wanted to follow up with a tamp, and we saw the benefit of that tamping works going ahead. So I'll just pass over to Clifford for the last section, time permitting.
Thank you. I'm going to play a video next, but it's just on safety, touching on safety. It's the heart of everything we do on the railway. And sometimes, speak from my perspective, if you're coming into the railway or if you are at a senior position where you're not directly involved with some of the very unsafe environment, you might make decisions that might put someone else at risk or even yourself at risk without knowing it. So the TRU project realizes this, and because we're an alliance, different organizations working together, it's very easy to not understand the impact of someone else's role and how that can affect them, not just physically, also mentally as well. So the TRU, in its wisdom, basically mandated that everyone on the alliance attend this trust training, which is, I think, one of the best. I wouldn't even call it a training, it's an experience. If anyone here has been on it, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a whole day, but it didn't feel like a whole day. You basically experience what it is to be frontline, some people that are frontline have to go through, and that changed my perspective, how I interact with them, the decisions I make, I think about it. So the next video is basically just talking about the trust training or the trust experience and how it's run. I think it's not just for alliances. Any construction project could benefit from this trust training.
the way that story is brought to life through the close participation with all the members here, something that's very unique.
I think it's the reality. I was convinced that they were real. It wasn't a scenario, that was real.
Over the years I've done a few things like this and it's probably one of the best things I've ever done. It's a real eye-opener.
The way it kind of makes you stop and think, and the consequences of family really kind of hits home, it's hard.
Really just challenges you to think and to collaborate with your teams and people you may not speak to on a day-to-day basis.
Today has been absolutely fantastic, not what I expected. Probably the best training I've actually ever been on, which is amazing.
Today has been a brilliant day, really engaging, and at 3 o'clock I'm still excited to see what's coming up next.
Okay, thank you very much, and thanks to Clifford as well. Cheers.